Nobody's going to tell you this. Nobody is going to be in a situation where they are going to be willing to compromise their livelihood to tell you the truth. There's very few. There's very few. But I have nothing to lose, really. My financial state is secure whether I open up my mouth or not at this point. So it's interesting, I started opening up my mouth recently about some things. A lot of you guys were asking about East Palestine, Ohio. As soon as I get back, I post that vlog. I have my bank accounts frozen, right? My bank accounts get frozen. Money gets frozen. Not just frozen, it gets deleted, right? It gets deleted. And then as I do an investigation, the government pulled that money, right? And, well, it was just a mistake, right? It ended up just being a mistake. Oops, and then the money just showed up again. And then some of my apps also got banned. Some of my cards got banned. My ability to process with some credit cards got banned. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happened. So when people are asking for updates, that there's other situations that are at hand beyond making another YouTube video. So please be conscientious. So then I was like, okay, maybe Bitcoin is the solution. But then you begin to study Bitcoin and the history of Bitcoin. You're like, shit. Like, maybe Bitcoin was created by the NSA, right? Maybe there is a backdoor to Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't as private as people think. So if money's not secure and crypto's full of scams, which we know, look at FTX. I lost money in FTX. I lost money in Celsius. A lot of you guys lost a ton of money. I have buddies that lost $10 million, $15 million on FTX. And as you guys listen to my conversation, I don't know if you did or not, my data set with the formal head of the Central Bank of Albania, where I had a conversation with him and I asked him, is crypto money? Is Bitcoin money? Not crypto, but Bitcoin is Bitcoin money. He said, well, ultimately, yes, Bitcoin is money, but Bitcoin follows the policies of the central bank. Because where the fuck is this liquidity going to come from, right? This liquidity doesn't just come from anywhere. It directly comes from the policies of the central banks. So as much as we like to believe that Bitcoin is sovereign, it is still tied to the dictatorship of the few. So if money is not safe, if freedom of speech is not safe, if the school system is programming you, then what is it that you have left? Two things. You have two things, ladies and gentlemen. And these are the two things you need to focus on. Hear me out. Write these two things down and focus your entire natural life developing these two things. Ready? Write this down. Number one, inflation-proof skills. You need to develop skill sets that are resistant to inflation or stagnation or a recession or a depression, in fact. So what are some skills that you can develop that are going to allow you to be in a situation where you are protected? Because if your confidence lies anywhere outside of your skill set, per se, in the marketplace, then you're fucked. Because right now, a lot of you guys have a lot of trust in the fiat system because you've been conditioned to trust the fiat system. When you look at the dollar bill and it says, "In God we trust," who's this God? Who is this God? It ain't the God of the Bible. I can tell you that for sure. You understand? The money is the God. So your trust is in the money and the God that they've created, that you worship, that you spend your entire life chasing. So when people come to me and say, "Oh, Luke, you just got rich off of crypto," brother, I don't give a fuck how I got rich. Do you hear me? I got rich and I got out. That's the goal. So you need to develop skill sets that are inflation resistant. Your ability to sell, your ability to create, your ability to network. What do I mean by create? Create is being able to take two different things, and you can't technically create something, right? The word create comes from a term known as ex nihilo, which is something out of nothing. So technically we can't create anything. We just reform things, energy, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. We know this is one of the laws of thermodynamics. So how do you take energy and reformat these things? Your ability to think critically and logically. Guys, ask yourself, why the fuck? Like, I know we have people from all over the world, but everybody has like constitutions, right? Everybody has their constitutions. Why the fuck has nobody taught you your Bill of Rights? Why do you think they didn't teach you the Constitution of the United States in the school? They didn't teach you these things. Why? Because they only taught you enough to make you feel like you're educated, but in fact, they led you astray. Because fucking studying the rocks and shit, sure, it may be cool for a few people, but for most people, it's not going to make a difference. Studying the clouds and studying all this stuff, like, okay, sure, it may be interesting for some of you guys. That's fine. But teach me how to balance a fucking checkbook. Teach me what the fuck are taxes. Some of you guys are in your 30s, in your late 20s. You've yet to sit down and read your Bill of Rights. So when people ask me, Luke, what are you reading? Dude, I'm reading the dictionary. I'm trying to understand what the terms and definitions are of things. I'm studying the Bill of Rights. I'm reading the Constitution. Oh, Luke, that's stupid. That's crazy. Sometimes you have to be crazy in a world that is extremely normal. The crazy ones are then in the future revered as geniuses. Leonardo da Vinci, at a given time, he was considered a freak, considered a genius by very few. But he famously said, Leonardo da Vinci famously said, to develop a complete mind, study the art of science and study the science of art. Learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else. So when this genius says, to develop a complete mind, you need to realize that things connect to each other, and that what you do in a certain area of life applies to every other area of life. Why did nobody ever teach you about health? Who the fuck came up with the food pyramid, telling you that starches and grains were the most essential and healthy part of your diet, yet everybody here is dying? They told you that the was healthy. Now people are dying left, right, and center. I can't even mention it. I'll probably get blacklisted again. You understand? But I don't give a fuck anymore. So let's just be real. Anyways, the first thing is you need to develop inflation-proof skills. How do you network with people? How do you sell? How do you communicate? How do you perceive that which cannot be seen with the common eye? How do you develop a complete mind? A complete mind isn't only focused on money. You understand? If you're so one-dimensional, you're never going to win at life. The second thing is your network. Because the definition mastermind originated from this concept of uniting many minds together to form collectively a mastermind. A mastermind is multiple minds coming together and expressing opinions and points of view that potentially are contradictory to each other, that are opposing each other's views, that cause friction and stress, but that polish each other through consistent refinement. iron sharpens iron. We know this. As I walked through the Parthenon in Greece last year, and the sun was setting on the ocean, and I could see the sun beaming through these pillars, these white, beautiful pillars. I just imagined the Stoics sitting there conversing, dialoguing, arguing about the intricacies of life. And I realized there's a new era that is upon us, the era of the digital Stoics, where you're no longer afraid to give your opinion, where you're no longer afraid to stand by truth, that you're okay messing up, that you understand that failure is just a construct of the system to keep you from trying, that if you surround yourself with winners, you will inevitably become a winner. Somebody said there's no ocean in Greece. Call it a sea. Does it really make a difference? You see, these are the problems with people. People are so focused on the nuances that they don't seem to understand the bigger picture. They're caught up in the semantics and the words that they neglect the principles that I'm trying to convey. Don't be so botted. Understand that language is just a construct. As long as my message is communicated clearly, you need to understand that communication is not what one says, but what the other person understands, right? That's what communication is. So as long as my point came across clearly, then we're in the green. So let me ask you again, what are the inflation-proof skills that you are developing? And what is the network that you have around you? And what is the intentionality that you're going to apply to make sure that you do not end up in the situation that 99% of the world is in? I posted on my Instagram story just now. I'm here chilling on this beautiful lounge chair, 5-star hotel in Hong Kong. Just got back from all-you-can-eat Japanese Wagyu. And I look down and you have the highway here. Traffic jam. Everybody coming back from their 9 to 5. When you begin to realize that in the feudal times, the peasants had more time off than most of the people working a 9 to 5. Go look it up. Go look how many days peasants had off to just fuck off and do whatever they wanted. So as much as you call them peasants, they had more freedom than 99% of the world. It requires a lot of honesty and a lot of self-reflection. Something that most of you guys have yet to do. Mark Twain famously said, "It is easier to deceive a person than to convince a person that they have been deceived." So let me ask you, have you been deceived? Have you been lied to as to how the world works? Have you been lied to as to what is the solution of life? Now, most of you guys say, you know what, invest in a 401k, making $400,000 a year puts you in the top 1%. Brother, but $400,000 a year can't even buy you a house. Well, yeah, you can buy a house. Yeah, if you go to the fucking bank who printed the money out of thin air and request a loan. So when you begin to evaluate what your money's worth, you can't even buy a house. You can barely buy a car. Yet somehow you assume that you're secure and that you're safe. It is a false construct, ladies and gentlemen. It is a limiting ideology. And people come in and out, which shows you people do not even have the brain capacity or the brain power to stop for a few minutes and to listen. They're so on this TikTok bullshit all day, instant dopamine. that they're just rats. Rats running through the maze, cogs of the machine. But hopefully you're different. For your own sake. I don't give a fuck. I don't, as much as I care, the quality of my life is impacted very little by your decisions. But your decisions impact the quality of your life to the fullest. So please, take some time and have some self-reflection. Nobody's going to do it for you. Go study the origins of a 401k. Oh, invest in a 401k. What the fuck do you think is a 401k? You don't even know. And you're dumping money into it. We have this idea of as when you retire, you have a social security pension or whatever the fuck this is. And then you start looking at social security and they're fucking bankrupt. And then you start looking at the insurance that you have at a bank that is FDIC insured. And FDIC is insured by the good faith and credit of the United States of America. It's insured by nothing. Nothing. So much so that when presidents arise, like Lincoln, or like Kennedy, JFK, and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we gotta get rid of this fiat system. They end up with a bullet on their heads. Go study the story of the greenback dollars. Go study the history of the silver-backed dollars from the Treasury. And you'll realize that there is a big agenda going on. And that if you believe that you know a lot, then you already lost. The more that you know, the more you should realize that you know nothing. So once again, I ask you, what does your network look like? And what type of skill sets are you focused on developing? Oh, well, Luke, I need money. Then maybe learn the skill set on how to make money. Oh, Luke, I'm trapped. I'm in debt. Do you understand how many DMs I get every fucking day? Hundreds of DMs every single day. Luke, I'm broke. Lend me some money. Luke, I don't know what to do. Go pick up a fucking damn book, dude. What do you think? I'm going to give you a little piece of advice and you're going to apply it and your life is going to change? That's not how reality works, dude. You are today where you are based off of the decisions that you have. At the age of 18, I began to understand these concepts and develop my network. I've been at this game for a decade almost. It takes time, but you need to get started where you are today. Sure, maybe you have no money right now. Maybe you can't go and get into a room with people that are worth tens of millions of dollars. Maybe you can't, like myself, sit down tomorrow and interview 2 e-commerce giants that do $100 million a year. But maybe you can go and find a mentor that's making $100,000. Maybe you can go surround yourself with a group of friends that are actually ambitious and want to go to the gym instead of going out and partying. But you need to put yourself in these situations. I hear people being like, oh, I live in X, Y, and Z country. There's nobody here that wants to network. There's no real entrepreneurs. In every country, there's people with money. In every country, there's people with ambition. There may be less in some countries than others, but they're still there. Welcome to the age of the internet. And if you don't believe that there is, well, you already lost. It's like you going into the game already assuming that you lost the game, might as well not even play. So anyways, those are a few data sets I wanted to impart on you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have come to the profound realization that most people do not understand the fundamental principle of what it means to be successful. In a day and age of instant gratification, of dopamine hits, of comparison and Instagram photos, everybody believes that success is the achievement of one macro goal, like raising a capital round or selling a company or achieving the physique that you wanted. But all of these are the byproduct, the final result of what it truly means to be successful. Success is achieved on a action by action basis. And as you become successful achieving the micro goal, you will eventually achieve the macro goal. Now, the Great Wall of China was built block by block. It was built piece by piece, laid to perfection by every stonemason, by every laborer, by every worker, and, well, obviously by every slave. But the point is that when you zoom out, you begin to notice a work of art that when you zoom in, you cannot experience and you cannot understand. So do not lose heart. Continue working with consistency, because as you begin to develop as an entrepreneur, as you begin to develop as a businessman or a businesswoman, you need to position yourself mentally to understand that success is found in the micro. When you focus on the macro, you become anxious. You become overwhelmed, because obviously they're big goals. But when you crystallize your goals and you break them down into actionable steps day by day, in every way I'm getting better and better, you must focus on optimizing the things that you can control. When you go to work out, you go to the gym, the question is, how much do you give in that session? Or you're like, I'll come back tomorrow. No wonder you fuckers don't get results. You're half-assing it. You're not successful in the micro. When you sit down to work, well, you start scrolling on TikTok or you start doing some bullshit. No wonder your business isn't successful at a macro level, because you're not doing the micro things right. Success is won behind closed doors. Success is won when nobody is watching. Do you understand? You cannot cheat success. You can lie to everybody else. You can fool fuckers all over the world. It doesn't matter. When it's all said and done, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you will know whether you are a fraud or whether you are legit. And all it comes down to is one very simple thing: the action and task ahead of me. Will I fulfill it with full accountability? And I will give it my all. Or I'll just keep wishing about my $billion dream. All of you fuckers want to be billionaires. All you fuckers want to be billionaires, but you ain't working. You lazy fucks. Not only are you lazy, when you work, you half-ass it. So the life right now that you have is really based on the micro goals and the micro actions that you take. That you look at somebody that's extremely successful and you think that, oh, it's just one or two actions and boom, they became successful. No. That's not how it works. Do not be lied. Do not be fooled by the social media nonsense. That's not how life works. The grind is long. You must plant many seeds if you want a very fruitful harvest. Does that make sense, ladies and gentlemen? Do not lie to yourself today. Walk with power, walk with truth, and understand that you must master, not try, not all work on it, master the success and the optimization and the full willpower output into the small actions. And the big things will take care of themselves. Focus on the micro, and the macro will play out in accordance. Focus on laying the bricks with precision and perfection. And when you zoom out, the Great Wall of China will be a masterpiece that no man can explain. Do you hear me?